the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, conversing with him. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, Rise and do not be afraid. And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one else but Jesus alone. As they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, Do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord. The first reading from the book of Genesis shows us the beginning of a wonderful adventure. But it's very particular. Abraham was very old at the moment God manifested to him. He just invited him to the unknown. Even God was not known yet by him, but he trusted. And the old man just quit everything and began to follow this new and unknown God by the desert. Trusting every step, every moment, every difficulty they found, he was trusting. And he learned day by day that follow God means trust. That's why he became our father in the faith. And it's the same in our lives. There are moments when we discover the presence of God. It could be an aha moment. It could be illness, an accident, perhaps an economical breakdown, or the loss of someone we love. That could be a big blessing too. It could be a miracle, a healing, a transformation, the advice of a very good friend. There are many circumstances and situations in which the Lord appears to us in our lives. And there is always this deep desire. When you taste the goodness of the Lord, when you begin to discover His love, it is impossible not to follow Him, because you need more. When you arrive to have a real experience of God, that single experience is not enough. We want more. That's why Abraham couldn't say no. And he just took this adventure because in his heart it was impossible. The same was for all the disciples. The apostles, they begin to discover little by little that following Jesus was exigent. And more engaged they were, more persecution they got. That when Jesus invited them to deny themselves and follow him, carrying their crosses, that was for real. But they couldn't quit. They couldn't quit. Even in the moments that were the worst. That's why St. Paul, in the letter to Timothy, is invited us to share the hardship of the gospel. And there is a hardship following God. There are moments when we need to give an answer, and sometimes that is hard. Sometimes we have to deny ourselves. We have to make decisions in order to follow Jesus. And there are moments when and our transgressions are so evident that we are so ashamed, but we could not quit, because without him our life will be not the same. And in those moments, those particular moments of denying, of temptation, is where we find the presence of the Lord giving us the strength and the blessings we need. In the gospel, that's what the Lord is doing. Taking Peter, John, and James, these apostles that were named the pillars of the first community, the columns of the first community. And he took them in order to give them the strength they need and prepare them for the ordeal that was to come. The cross, the scandal of the cross. If you remember the disciples of Emmaus. Yes, you pronounce it that like that? Emmaus? Emmaus, okay. Excuse my French. The disciples of Emmaus, they were preaching Jesus Christ as a loser. Yeah. We were expecting that he was going to give the freedom to Israel. We were expecting that he was the one who was going to bless. He was the one sent by God. But they were frustrated deep in their hearts. They were full of depression. But just the Lord appears and gave them the strength and the hope they needed. That's what the Lord is doing right now. Not only with these three, but with all the community. And he appears as God himself. That's a true revelation. It's a big manifestation. And it's the continuity of that one that happens in the baptism. When the Lord was baptized, God the Father just said to him, "You are my beloved. You are my beloved." And now the same voice is coming again. But there is an advice. Hear him. Pay attention to his words. Pay attention to what he said. It was God the Father. And many times in our lives, in our faith, we have like this transfiguration. We are so clear in our faith. We are so grateful and full of joy that it's easy to follow. That's why, as Peter In those moments we say, oh, this is wonderful to be here. And we want to hold those moments forever. And in another moments of our life, there is suffering and anguish, perhaps persecution, or we are despair, or we are depressed. But we don't find God. Yes. Even Jesus in the cross was praying like that. My God, why you have forsaken me. So those moments are going to be in our way. But that's why we need to recall to our minds those moments of blessing, those miracles we have received, those beautiful things, how the God has been present in our lives in order to transform us. And we need to pay attention especially to the Eucharist. In the Eucharist, Jesus, as true God and true man, is coming to make a transfiguration in our lives. Well, this figure that is transformed. So the purpose of the Eucharist is to give us Jesus' figure. Yes. When we receive the Holy Eucharist, we receive His divinity and His graces and His love. And we become more Jesus in order to be recognized by those who are close, especially those in family. It is easy to show them our Shrek face. Yes, that means when you are full of anger. Yes, you're not going to call your best friend in order to discharge your anger. Yeah. The poor that is going to receive that is the one that is closest. And generally is your wife, or your husband, or your children, in some cases, the neighbor. Yes. But those who are closer are more in danger of receiving this horrible appearance of us. So transfiguration, when we receive the Eucharist, keep in mind that we become the flesh, the face, and Jesus Himself for others, and others to ours. So today, please keep in mind that the Lord is doing this every day and every moment when you receive the Eucharist. And the one that is transfigured is you. Yeah. In order to keep the faith alive.